Okay, so this is going to be my review of the Nickelodeon animated TV series of Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is kind of special for this channel because the first video I did for this channel was the Last Airbender review, which I trashed it. I said it was a bad movie. It got bonus points for not being Avatar, but not being Twilight. But the more I look back on it, it's looking worse and worse. But when I made that review, several people had told me you don't get how bad that movie was because you weren't a fan of the series. And I mean, I'd watched one or two episodes before, partially. So I did know adults watch it, and it felt it was a very good series. I kind of shied away because it was Nickelodeon, and I thought, it's a kids show. But as people told me, I wound up just a few weeks ago, actually less than a few weeks, like a week ago, I was in the mood to watch Dragon Ball Z, and when I was searching on it for what, if any, channels were showing Dragon Ball Z, it turns out they were showing them on Nicktoons this summer. And right after Dragon Ball Z Kai ends, they're showing like 3 Avatar episodes in a row every day this summer. So I was like, okay, I'm going to watch my Dragon Ball Z, and I'll give the show a shot since everyone's telling me I should watch it. And lo and behold, I watched those 3 episodes, and I was getting addicted. Like, this is a good show. So I went searching online, and I found the entire series up online. And I watched the entire series pretty much straight through. And oh my god, I'm including myself now as a fan of this series. I love this series. And I'm impressed. Nickelodeon. Round of applause, because this is damn good television. Yeah, this is coming from an adult. The humor in this show, excellent. Oh my god, I was laughing myself at a lot of these episodes, and it did that excellent blend of being serious and epic, yet still very funny and very kid friendly all at the same time, and still being able to watch as an adult. I was loving this. I should get into real quick. I have to address this because now, yes, I understand how bad this movie is. The last Avatar movie was, or Last Airbender. I had complained in my review for that movie about a speech that Aang makes, because he's not Aang, and then it causes the Earthbenders to kind of rebel. And I went, it was such a stupid speech. No one would ever get really motivated from a kid saying this. And it turns out in the series, first of all, Katara makes the speech, not Aang. But in the series, the speech doesn't motivate anybody, and that was the purpose. The purpose was they kind of showed us how broken people were. And yet, they decided for the movie that speech would work, and, clearly the writers of the show had a very smart idea. Yes, there was a rebellion by the prisoners, but that was because they gave them rocks that they could throw at guards, not because of a motivational speech. And it didn't make it. And also, as I saw more of the series and some of the, I'll get into this. First, let me talk about what each season and how much what I liked about them. The very first season, was probably I don't know. It's a mix between maybe least favorite and in between. But it seemed at first it was this, another one of those pointless, doesn't go anywhere series, because, okay, they break them out of the iceberg, and then every episode they go do something and chase by Zuko, go do something and chase by Zuko. And it didn't seem like there was a full narrative. Now, in subsequent, the second and the third seasons, a lot of those little pointless adventures come back and have roles. We see characters come back and become major. So when you look back from the entire series, the first series, a lot of the pointless stuff that was going on actually played a bigger role. So in retrospect, I take another look, but when you watch it looked like it was very padded out, and that's probably why it might be my least favorite. But looking back, it's probably my second favorite. My favorite season was definitely the second season in the Earth Kingdom. That's where they really got the narrative going, constantly changing. You could feel that there was a story and it was progressing. And it introduced Toph as a new character. We got Azula as a new villain. And the third season was surprisingly the darkest of all the seasons, which normally, or out of these 3, normally it's the middle that's the darkest. They decided to have the third one almost as the darkest. It still had that high humor, and it still, had a good ending in both being good and, the good guys win, yay! Everyone pretty much happy. Except for maybe the Fire Lord. Which, why did no one ever mention that Mark Hamill played the ultimate big bad in this movie, or in this series? He's the Fire Lord Ozai. Holy shit, I was living when I found that out. I mean, I'd heard Mako was in this, and Mako as General Iroh, great. Awesome. Oh my god. But Mark Hamill as the villain, always a good choice there. Oh. And the other thing with, I'm going to say this, because Mark Hamill's a good segue for this. This series, for this generation, I think it's going to be like Batman, the animated series, was for us, in that it was a series, it's a serious, story-driven, character-driven children's show that's still good for, you can watch as an adult. It's serious, and yet still kind of funny and kid-friendly. Today, and I think this is going to be the series I look back. Now, I might, if I was really looking at it from a neutral perspective, probably would like this series even more if I didn't have the nostalgic factor for Batman. Both are great. But yeah, this is definitely going to be that series that 10 years from now, everyone's going to be making the videos, and guys, you remember when Avatar? That was such a kick-ass series. And I will be agreeing with him. Even though it's not part of my childhood. Oh my god, I wish it was. I love the character writing on this show is amazing. They did a really great job with the writing. They had very complex characters to write. For example, Sokka. Sokka had to be both the smart one with all the planning and kind of looking at things rationally, and be the stupid one at the same time. That's an incredibly hard character to write without him being either one or the other. And yet they pulled off that balance in him excellently. Aang, too, is a perfect example of these kind of two things floating. He's, extremely playful, but he's got, like, the most serious of things to do. And he kind of has to, again, balance those two things within him. Excellent writing and characterization. And also, they did the great move of really showing a lot of the, the bad guys, quote unquote. Of course, the whole series is that no one's really truly bad. Because we see the change in Zuko. He goes from being the bad guy to being us getting more sympathetic towards it. Well, even when he's like the bad guy, we become sympathetic towards him in the first season. Even as he's chasing the Avatar, we are kind of shown why he's doing things, and we're kind of shown, we're shown his character progression. We're constantly, sympathetic, and that's great. It's so many people prefer the bad guys over the villains, and in this series, it's okay to, because the bad guys really aren't that bad. At least the first set of bad guys. By the third season, they're bad, but even the ones that are bad, like Azula and Ozai, are still awesome to watch. And you need great villains, and great villains that aren't uberly evil, but cool villains. It's the best way I can explain it within my limited time. Azula's great. The only thing I complain about at the end of the season, I think they needed to show Azula's falling into madness a little bit more of maybe some more hints. There were some subtle hints in one or two episodes beforehand, but I think they needed to. It seemed to come a little bit fast in the last few episodes, but still overall great series, excellent writing, excellent voice acting. Especially from the knowns and even the unknowns. I thought at first like Aang's voice would get annoying, but I kind of liked it. It grew on me. Sokka, whoever played Sokka, great voice actor, great knack for comedy. He's probably younger. It makes me wonder why they didn't actually get these actors, with the exception of Mako, obviously, to play the movie. Because as I look at this, even the guy that played Chow, Admiral Zhao, sorry. He was the bad guy in The Patriot, which is kind of, it's drawing my mind out why they didn't bring in. They have Hollywood level actors, and maybe some few people, maybe some of the other like kids weren't good to act on screen. Maybe I could buy that, but there were so many other actors who did the voices and have Hollywood credentials that they could have done on screen. So I don't know. Signing off.